Let's turn now to that forecast and the heat that we are experiencing and will continue to experience this week.
Yeah, it's not really going anywhere, Brad, right?
Yeah, we got a little taste of what fall can feel like this past weekend with some of those cool overnights thanks to some dry air, but Mother Nature has some other plans. We're not going right into fall just yet. In fact, this heat dome over the middle of the country is one of the strongest we've seen so far this summer. And you've probably heard this term, the heat dome. And what is it? Well, basically, it's a mountain of air. The air is actually thicker over this area of the country. We measure this by thickness of the lower atmosphere. And when you get around 6,000 decameters, which is a measurement we use for the 500 millibar ridges like this, that is a really thick air mass. And when that air sinks and compresses, it heats up. If you think about high pressure, when pressure increases, it increases heat. So if you go deep down into the Earth's crust, eventually that pressure gets so hot that it melts rock. Now, we're not melting rock in this case, but it is going to be pretty hot for most of the middle of the country. Excessive heat warnings up for the middle of the country, and some of that heat is going to be building our way tomorrow. We'll get a brief lull on Wednesday, and then it really cranks up by Friday. There's the heat dome. The one thing that helps us out Wednesday, see that backdoor front? Maybe just a brief shift in the winds to the northeast could lower us to 88, 89, which is actually still right around average, if not slightly above. But the heat dome will begin to take back over on Friday. There's not much rain when you see this setup. We call this the ring of fire when we see the storms around it, but it's almost the whole country that's being encompassed by this heat dome. So any storms, and in particular tropical systems, can't move in because this blocks everything from heading its way. So the only showers we're going to see are likely going to be from that northeast flow, maybe this weekend as we get a backdoor front again. But look at those temperatures on Friday. The one nice thing about this setup, it's a pretty dry heat setup. So even though temperatures are going to be scorching hot, we're not going to have dew points way up there into the mid 70s, at least on Friday and Saturday. By Sunday, Monday, we'll be back near 70, but this should be much more tolerable than even some of the heat we had early last week. Now the tropics, they're heating up. We're heading towards the peak of the season. There we are in the curve. The peak day is September 10th, but notice the peak lasts all the way into October before things really begin to calm down. And over the weekend, if you missed it, boy, we had 4 named systems come out pretty quickly here. Not technically named yet, but Tropical Depression 9 could become Harold later tonight. We had Gert, Franklin, and Emily all form. Most of these will stay away from us, but we got to keep an eye on Franklin and Harold, which is going to impact Texas, and not necessarily in a bad way because they're dealing with drought conditions and heat. So some of this rain will help them out. Not a very strong system, so maybe beneficial rains for South Texas. The heat dome, you see the flow around it. All the rain moves around it for this week into the weekend. But then next week, there's signs maybe a tropical system off the East Coast, not heading our way, but maybe close enough to spread some moisture in here, and certainly a cooler pattern setting up next week. So after the heat this week, for the end of the month, we might see that northeast trough set up, which could cool us down a little bit. So maybe a little bit of relief going towards those first couple days of school, as well as maybe the holiday weekend for Labor Day. Here's your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. Temperatures warming up into the mid and upper 90s, could be pushing triple digits Friday. But if you want to cool down, let's go 10 days into the future and maybe mid 80s for next week for the start of school here at CMS.
Okay, we'll take it. Brad, thank you.